There comes a time when you just need to give up. You know you are not the best, and it's time to let somebody else take the spotlight. Everything you've been working on feels like it's gotten you nowhere. You continue to compare yourself to everybody else. I have been at this for years now, and while I'm proud of how far I've come, I know it's not where I want to be. This camera alone has gotten me opportunities that I never thought imaginable. I am thankful for everyone that's believed in me and shared those opportunities along the way. This isn't a farewell, it's more like a see you next time. However, I do think this path has reached its course, and we can't continue to be together. You have things that have been limiting me from reaching my full potential, and this can't go on. In this case, it's not me. It's you.
So this right here is the Sony a6600, and it's basically the camera that changed everything for me. The day I got this, I felt like an actual filmmaker. I remember watching so many reviews on it, and I finally made up my mind, saved up money, and purchased it. While it was the most that I had spent on gear at the time, it was the one thing I wanted more than anything else. This camera had a flip-up selfie screen, which no other Sony camera had at the time. It shot in 1080p 120, which is all the slow-mo that I needed. Besides the slow-mo, it did 4K up to 30 frames per second, took amazing photos with high dynamic range, performed really well in low light for a crop sensor camera, had an HDMI port. It basically had everything I needed to rig it out for professional use. This paired up with the first gimbal that I ever had, I felt like a straight up movie director. The delusion at this point was insane. Along with the form factor, this was a camera that I could take anywhere without being questioned for permits. I got this camera at the peak of COVID, and at the time, we couldn't really go out as much, and I couldn't really shoot anything that I wanted to. But as soon as I got the opportunity, I went out and shot the first big project that I ever did, which was City Boys. And no, I'm not gonna shut up about it, because for me, that's one of my favorite videos that I ever created. So be prepared to hear more about that. But you see, what had happened was I finally had enough to purchase the A7S III. And when I tell you she's a bad bitch, man, she is a bad bro. And let me tell you, this thing, well, not this thing, the one that I'm recording on right now. It shoots in 4K 120, has one of those little flippy screens, is way more customizable, has a full frame sensor, has 2 card slots, full-size HDMI port, charges off of USB-C, also has a small form factor, has a very high ISO so you can see in pitch black conditions. But most of all, it records in 10-bit 422. Now, for those of you that don't know about 10-bit color, at a prosumer level, it's basically the best kind of color that you can get out of one of these cameras. When you compare it to like a cinema camera that has a lot more dynamic range and a lot more color information. It is what gives it that rich and deep colors that you want out of a professional camera. Once this camera was introduced, it completely changed the way that content creation was done. It got to be so good that they even shot a full feature film on it. Well, technically it was the FX3, but they got the same sensor. It's basically the same camera, except that one it's part of their cinema line. So my current dilemma with the a6600 is that I just frankly don't use it as much. It's what I use as my B cam, but it's just not keeping up anymore. For video specifically. I still use this for photos every now and then, shoots amazing. I believe it does 23 megapixels, which is better than A7S III, only at 12 megapixels. But when it comes to video, it is lacking a little bit in that department. It shoots in 8-bit, so when I try to match shots between this camera and that camera, it creates more of a problem, and I just want to be able to drop it in on the timeline and have it look exactly the same. So if you're a vlogger and you're not planning to do much in post-production, this is honestly a great camera. Still has amazing video. There isn't much that you need to do to it in post-processing, but because I'm trying to get better at my color grading, I personally need a camera with more capabilities. Even though I still like shooting photos on this, sometimes I just end up taking the A7S III and shooting on that one even though it has 12 megapixels just for convenience. I don't want to have to carry around 2 camera bodies each time that I want to do something. I kind of sacrifice the lower megapixel count and just shoot on that, which for Instagram and stuff like that, it's not too noticeable. So for the most part, this camera just kind of sits at home in a drawer. Now what that means is that I guess it's looking for a new home. If you're a vlogger or somebody that does content creation, you're kind of just looking for something to get started with, I would still recommend this camera to everybody because the photos on it are amazing. It teaches you how to edit photos in RAW. Anybody that's just starting out that asks me what kind of camera I should get, I always recommend this one because it's the most simple, non-fancy camera that you can have. It does all of its manual recording for photos and video. You can still program it however you want. Autofocus on it is amazing. Again, it has that flip out screen in case you want to vlog or just record yourself, which most lower end Sony cameras don't. I think this was the first of its kind that did. Now I still have yet to decide how I'll go about selling it. It might be a link in the description, or I might just post it on my story and somebody can pick it up close by. But I think it is time for us to depart. It just doesn't make sense anymore. I need to upgrade my B cam, and getting rid of this one would definitely help because I don't need now 3 cameras. I think the more gear that I picked up over the years, the more I've just kind of carried on and I don't even use it day to day. But if you are interested in buying this camera body off of me, please let me know. Either leave a comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram and I'll make sure to get it to you. Also comment down below what your first camera was and what you're using now. At the end of the day, these are just tools that we use to get our stories across. And lately, I've been finding myself using my iPhone more and more just because it's the most accessible. With that being said, a better story always goes further than better picture quality. Now, if you're interested in any of it's funny. Now, if you're interested in any of the other gear that I use, I will leave that down in the description below. I'll leave links to everything down below. And if you want to know what I carry daily in my camera bag, I've been thinking about doing a what's in my camera bag type of video. If that's something you'd be interested, again, leave a comment down below and I'll try to get that out. Now, if you watched up to this point, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. It's time to get out of these bushes. This is not fun recording. My pants got all messed up and everything, but made for interesting shots, though. I think a win is a win. Peace. Oh yeah, and the haircut, it doesn't mean anything. I'm just, you know, channeling my inner Brad Pitt, David Beckham era. Let me know if you're digging it in the comments down below. See you in the next one.